So again, thank you so much for being here, and it's a pleasure for me to talk in confidence. As I mentioned before, I lived in Poland during 1 year, and it's a pleasure to me to talk in this conference now. So today we are talking in this topic and pivoting and exploitation Docker environment. So I think either introduce me, but this is my contact. If you can follow me in this social media, it doesn't matter who I am, but if you can try, follow me. Basically, I have a curiosity in my career because I started my career in a commercial. I was a salesperson. It's totally crazy, yes, I think in 2000 maybe, but I work in a sales in the industry of technology, of course. And in 2000 maybe 13, I changed to the technical career. Sounds like crazy, I know. And I worked in Dell Computers and Trend Micro and in IPA in Poland. And now I'm working in Zup Innovation. This is a company. It's like a software house here in Brazil. Is to, and a good interesting about the Zup Innovation, this company build and create and develop many software in open source softwares. And you can in the future hear a lot about this company, about the Reach product and Beagle and many products that my company are developing. Okay, so I'm working now, not now, I think it's 3 years in a HackerSec, like research. It's the same case. And I have a pleasure to publish some articles, not, when I have not like it's like a mission, but my idea is to try creating in a basis from this, the young guys, or to talk about the basis, So I'm writing actually some articles about the malware analysis, about the penetration testing, about some techniques in forensic, some tools that you can use, for example. So I published these articles in these magazines, and this is another. This is the one CV that I received. It's very simple, as I mentioned in either before, because this is I think many people that was looking now know this equipment. This is equipment it's sell in Poland, in Germany, and probably in Czech Republic. And I found on a CV. It's a simple CV, I know, but I found it basically, and I reported this for this company. And this company is the same case when you talk about the security. Okay, it's not totally high, I know, but the point here, it's many times this product, it's a router, and this product it's sold in a small business company. That's a big problem, because if you can get the administration access, you just need to be in the same network, and you can get the administration access, and you can manipulate all the access in the administration. So that's the point. Okay, so this is the agenda today. Before talking more deeply in pivoting techniques, I need to put everywhere in the same, everybody in the same page, I think, because here in the conference we have people probably know about this defense team or the malware analysis. So my idea here is putting everybody in the same page, right? So we talk about what is a pen testing, after that executing, because when you executing a pen testing, the pivoting, it's a technique in another phase, in a post-exploitation, in the technique of the pen testing. So I am doing step by step here of this technique until arriving the pivoting technique in the end of the question, right? So first of all, what is a pen testing? I think it's very known for everyone. It's security testing in today in the company can hearing by many different partners or companies. It's a simulate of the real world attack. Yes, and you can try hacking, for example, some applications, some apps like a mobile applications. For example, you can try, for example, exploiting a physical place. You can try many systems. You can try, for example, in the network. By the way, the pivoting techniques has or pass in the network. It's a technique involved, right? So basically the penetration testing, it's a simulate of the hacker attack, right? This is the very simple. So we have some types or service during when the guy could be executing this pen testing. The first of all, it's black box. It's like a similar, totally using by hacker. You know, it's when the people don't have any information of this company. For example, the people just have the Filipi company name and that's it. So the guy needs to understand how this company works, what this company sell or not sell, who is this company. So they probably need to research or search some information in a Google or internet to understand if this company have internet or extranet or, you know, or information in a GitHub. The first step is the recognition. Yes, so this is the black box when the guy don't have any information of the company, just the name. Okay, and white box it's different when the guy, for example, has information of the company, like you need to exploit, for example, this app or my e-commerce application, or you need to try exploitation my API from this app, or you need to you can exploit, for example, this range of the IPs, you know. So usually we have a scope to try exploit. It's very simple. You have the all informations, and it's the mix of these services, the gray box, you know, and you have some information, but not totally. For example, maybe or sometimes when you work with a pen testing or like a red team, because that's a very interesting, because today many companies in the world doing some confusing when you talk of pen testing and a red team. It's almost maybe similar, but it's totally different. You know, penetration testing in an action that will be executed in red team, and you have a many person or many people inside the team with different skills, and you will be create a many different strategy methodologies to implementing it, and of course you will create many deeply hacking actions in this environment. So gray box, it's a mixed. That is, you have, for example, some information of this company. You know, this company, for example, sell, some machines for the industry. You can know about, for example, this company has an APIs, and this company has, for example, an applications, web applications. You receive some information, but not all information, right? So this is the mix of this service. So basically, this is the three types of the pen testing, right? So now, after this simple explanation, I will executing this penetration testing in this environment. When I created this presentation, I worked in Poland, and I have this challenge in a hack the box environment. By the way, this machine are in Alpine now. It's removed, so it's not a problem. I don't show the rashes of the information, but the good thing here is the technique that I will use. Some points interesting, right? So the first of the steps that I can do in the penetration test, it can be like a methodology I can implementing when you executing some pen testing. Not just in a hack the box, of course you can use, but this is the some process that you can use, for example, in a company that service you can doing, or your company that will be work it. The first of all is it's Pentest. I think it's very known for everyone. Penetration test execution standard. You have 7 steps to do. And another, it's OWASP, Open Web Application Security Projects. It's an open source project. It's an organization, and the focus in our open source products and application. You can, stay together with this organization, and you can, grow more this organization. It's very, very, very interesting when you talk about the web application, when you talk about penetration testing web application focus, right? So in another one, it's a WASP top 10. Of course, it's some steps that you can realize usually in a web application, maybe you can try exploit it when focusing on a web application, right? Okay, so when you need to, or when you're gonna to do any penetration testing in a web environment, the first of all to need to to recon of this environment, or I think it's the most important when you do this, the pen testing, is to enumerate the information, because when you get to do many steps, when you get to understand every things in the environment, after that the exploitation, it sounds not simple, I know, but it's more clear, or what the application you can exploit, for example. So now I will using, of course, the demo, because I will need to pray and the lords of God of demos, it's probably get a problem. So I record the demo. So first of all, I basically need to recon this website. It's very interesting because I am in the class B here. It's I am in this network. First of all, to understand how this web page works, and you can see here below, I think you can see the index.html. You can see here blog. So many times in the blog, probably you have the articles. Sometimes you can use the SQL injection in articles, maybe. So I am trying to recon this application, and you can put the mouse here of the image, and usually redirections for the same page, but not in when you talk about the contacts in blogs. So another point here in contact, the people that are watching me probably know contact form. Maybe you can using some XXS exploitation or something like that. So I am trying to find or to looking. It's a simple observation of this website. So first of all, I found this port 22 open. Here we found the version of the Open SSH, the version of the Ubuntu. And here I found another, if you can see here, another different port. So here it's very interesting because, you can see here one of the standard port in a SSH, SSH, and below you can see another, another port with the same service. Of course, probably, maybe it's the same server or not. Maybe I can have another, because it's the same port, it's the same service, but another port is different port. So it's very, you need to look in and think about it. So here I have another port 88, but here I have a Tomcat, and if you see below here, above, no, not below, above here, you can see just Apache in a different version, right? So after that, I can looking of this application. That's a good point here, because you can explore more this environment, right? So, okay, so the next steps, I'm gonna look in this application 88. Here, it's a very interesting point, because when you execute the penetration testing, many times you can find it. So if you can see here in this demo, I'm using the standard password, right? Admin and admin. If you can see, wow, it's it's crazy, because it's happened in many companies, not just admin, but if you install another application, when the guy will install, or maybe if you look in the past, many times when I install some demos or POC or POC, proof of concept, in many companies, and after I think 6 months or 1 year after, I return it to this company, and if many times if this company bought the solution security, and I just looking the settings, if the implementation and good best practices, and when the guy putting the password, many guys, many times, and the local guy told me or said me, man, I need to change the password because the password is the same that you put in the POC. You can imagine that it's totally crazy and normal, if you can see. So here we can look in the upload image. So here probably or not, I can use this option maybe to exploit, because when you execute a penetration testing, when you have this upload button, you can upload the image. If you know, for example, you can upload this information. This information, it's sent it to a database, and you can receive the answer from the database, right? So that's a good point, interesting, because you can execute a remote code execution. It's one technique that you can get the reverse shell in the environment, right? So, okay, but I just can upload the zip file and image file, right? So I continue to look in all pages that this web application have, or had in this case, because in the past when I executed this penetration test, right? So, and I looking some information and to continue to investigate. After that, I'm gonna to understand if this web page has another directory, right? I could use, for example, another tools, or I can look in the subdomains, but in this case, I just find it to the, I use WFuzz actually, and to try and find any directors in this case. So I'll be putting in front to gain time here. So if you can see, I will put it wrong because it's the real life, right? Many times when you put in when execute, you can receive the error, like this error. You know, I forgot to put in the slash in the first. So this is the real life, right? So here, first of all, I received the archives directory, so I can look in this because I received the 31 response. This is the response of the server. You know, it's the response to when you try access the web application, and the web application, the HTTP protocol returns some informations, and I receive another information here, then uploads and users. So I will try to look in and to find some information. The first of all, archives, and here I don't have a permission, but if you can see, let me check another uploads, users, images. So we have many options to try access. So the good point here, if you can, you know, think about it. Oops, I will show you some information here. It's very important here because I try to access the archives, and after that I try to access image, right? So, but I received the forbidden access because I don't have a permission, right? So until here, it's everything okay, because probably the guy when apply the software, the security software and the security policies, putting the good policies. But if you can see here, you can see the version of the Apache. You can see here the version of the server. So that's it's not good, because here the penetration tester guy or the bad guy, like a hacker, can try to find any exploit with this version, right? Because now I know that this application has this version. Of course, I know when I executed the Nmap, I received the same information. But suppose this guy don't have this information. Now here in web application, we receive this error. That's another point, right? So here the image has, I mentioned before, the same error, and I have a users. So when you try put here the users, I have here AGR page users, from user, 3 members logging, right? So I'm trying here, I was trying here the same standard password. If I am looking here, if I was looking at this guy, in this case, admin, and bam, no, I don't receive. In the same case, I try root, and no, I don't have access in this case. So I need to try exploit or explore another thing in this page, right? So I will using another, because when I need to take some, I need to take, but if I need to to do, for example, any pen testing, or you know, when I worked in a red team here in Zoop, usually I like to use 3 or 4 tools with the same action, you know, because I like to compare this tools. And here I will present to you. I think many people know this this tool. It's Debuster. It's from OWASP. I mentioned in the beginning of this presentation. So I executed this information. I received a report, because here, as you can see, I received another information from the same web page. Here I found the similar information, right? And I received another information of the secret doc PHP. Here we have a new page, new information. It's very interesting. So let's see this page, because it's not because it's secret, but maybe can be interesting. So here, as you can see, we have a conversation, right? And you can see here, the chat is unavailable at the moment. Probably, you know, I am supposed here, in this case, probably this is the chat of the maybe support team. And this guy talked before, and probably the application make a print screen, and, you know, saving that in any database inside the server, right? So here, let's read the conversation. The first of all, it's like a bullshit, okay? Sorry for this word, I know. But the point is, here we have a Tatara, Noru, and here we have a Connect. But here we have interesting information. The guy told me that there is a RCA. It means remote code execution. It's interesting for our penetration tests, right? So what's the web dev doing, or what's this guy, you know, doing? I could using another fucking word, but I don't know, because, you know, I didn't use this word because it's not correct. I know. Okay. So also, please replace the file service with a zap. Yes, because, you know, you can imagine this conversation, because here we have 3 guys, and here we have Eto. Here we have 4 guys. And here we can find another information, because here we can see the rash, and here we can see very interesting information. But you can note deeply here. You can look in deeply here, because if you can read here, it's impossible to get into our server. This is the answer of the Noro, right? And before CCG tries, I will check in the IP logs and eat them. Right? Ha, 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 ha. Okay. By the way, Connect, I needed the access for your remote server, right? Because if you can look in this conversation, this guy are talking, we're talking of the probably remote code execution in that environment, right? So, but here, Noro requested to connect a remote access, because probably this guy, the name of Connect, this guy has the, you know, like a super user or root or admin access, right? If you can look in the first answer of this guy, you can know, oh my goodness, let me return here. You can look in here the very interesting information, because the question or the request in this case from Noro is, I needed the access for your remote server. If you can think about it, when you in the company, suppose I am for example, I am a support guy, and I have all IPs information, IP address information. And let's suppose an IDOR has administration access. But I have the IP address from IDOR, right? But I don't have the password, right? Because if I am responsible to all IP address, I have all IP address for all of them in my company. But I don't have the password from IDOR. For example, I am using IDOR. I think it's don't problem, right? So the first answer from Connect is, I love you, Toka, and put things like a, you know, like a heart here. And when I look at it, I could suppose maybe this information is a password. Why? Because the guy requested here the access, but they but he has the IP address information, but don't have the password. And here is the password. In this case, it's the password, right? So that's very interesting point. So here, if you can compare, you have here in the secret page, the conversations from guy, and another page, we have a member areas. So now I can try to exploit this page, right? So, okay, so let me continue. I'm found an upload button in one of these applications, right? So I built the shell because I am trying to exploit this application. A simple PHP file, and I created, it's a basically steps, but here you can see I just have a shell PHP file, but I just can upload a zip file and an image file. But when I tried to exploit this information, I knew that we have this vulnerability, zip slip vulnerability. I think it's, if you can, the people are watching now, maybe know this vulnerability. That's an interesting vulnerability. So here I was explaining. So zip slip was a spread a critical archive extraction vulnerabilities, allows attackers like me to write arbitrary files on the system, typically resulting in remote code execution. That's my objective now, right? So the vulnerability is exploited using a special crafted archive that holds directed transversal file. It's a very interesting technique. You can put slash dot doc slash like dosh doc slash, and you can access the web server, as you can see here below. You just need to create a zip eval, and you can find this information. So if you can search in the internet, you can find in the Everlack GitHub, we have the code responsible to do it, and you can try to find here, right? So what I am doing after this phase, right? I download this Everlack, right? And I created this using the Python, Everlack shell PHP, and I using the Unix systems operation because, you know, it's Ubuntu. And I set the path of the web server, right? So this is the technique of the traversal path, right? So var, www, HTML, and shell PHP. And this tool is responsible to create a zip file, right? So here I have I have a zip file that I can upload in a environment. After that, I uploaded this information and I have the access to the environment. It's very, very simple, right? I have just a command execution in the server. So I can look in the IP. If you can see here, we have another class of the IP address, right? Because I am accessing the, first of all, in the class A, and here I have a class B, right? So it's very interesting point because I have in two different classes here, right? So the next steps, I try to look in the version of the server, and here I just look in my wonderful shell, my friend's shell doc.php, and here we can see the secret doc.php and uploads, and I try to access, but I received the forbidden. It then users that I can access, but I don't have a password. And I look in here the index.html and contact.html. So we have many information. As you can see here, all these informations are in the main server, right? Okay, so if I can, you know, manipulate some informations here, I can try to get the reverse shell, right? So by the way, I opened the netcat because I found this tool inside the server, right? And I executing the remote server in execution. And this phase, I find this interesting information. It's Docker env. So here I look at and I start to think, man, when I am doing here in this environment, because, you know, as you can see, when you try to do the pen testing, usually you don't know where or how is this environment. So you need to understand, and you need, of course, you need to, many times you need to stop the pen test, you need to study more a lot. Of course, maybe you're supposed to, if you, for example, if when you try to exploit in one environment, if you imagine if you access the web server and you access inside the server and you find, you know, the different systems operation, like, you know, FreeBSD, or I don't know, another old, you know, system operation. It's a big challenge. So here I am looking inside the environment, and I look in here, I find the same secret.php and I use a PHP, right? So after that, the next step that I was doing in this case is when I uploaded this information, my shell, the interesting point is I can upload information like, you know, like with a good privilege in the web page. So if I have, for example, when I upload, I have a good, you know, privilege when I upload some files inside the web server, I can try, for example, to upload my, you know, my key inside, my private key inside this environment. So that's the next step. That's why I was doing. I created this keychain, this key, the number of the key hacker. It's you know, it's the common name, and I do the same process of using the overlack 2, and I created here, if you can see, Python 2.7 overlack.py. This is the tool, and this is the Unix systems operation, right? And here the path that I was uploaded this information, because I set where I will upload this information. That's very interesting because, you know, this is the vulnerability zip sleep that I was explored, right? And here I uploaded my private key, my authorized key inside the root server, as you can see here. And after that, I upload this information in environment and I try access by ACE-ST with my personal, my private in this case. So if you can see here, I have a root user, right? So before, when I exploited, I just have in the, you know, www data. It's like a web access, not a root access or not a user. So here I have, and I get the user access, right? So after that, we can executing this technique, the pivoting technique, because I am inside the environment. So this technique, it's a post-exploitation, right? So when I get the access inside my victim, for example, and I need to looking around me, around this machine, how this works in this environment, right? So this is the next step, but because if you can note before, you can see before, the first network that I was trying access is the class A, you know, it's the range of 10. And after that, when I go to inside the web server, I am in the class B, sorry, 172, right? So what is pivoting technique? I wrote a similar article about this topic, and it's very interesting. If you can read before this article, I created a lab in my environment. It's not the same because I created this lab. I created a machine in different systems operation with Unix systems operation. And I created a Debian, and with this Debian, I installed Docker and exploit the Docker environment. So it's the similar, but not the same. But you can copy this my lab in this article. You can reproduce this attack. You can try reproduce it. Okay. So pivoting is the use of the first compromised system, right? So as I did in this presentation, right? So you can using this technique to routing or to find a protocol to try and exploit in a application level. That is, it's allow to pass or to growing inside your Vitman network, right? So in other words, you need basically, you are inside, you can move lateral, you can use in movement, in lateral movement inside this company. It's like a jump, right? Because, you know, you are in a, maybe in the class C in your environment, you are in 192 IP address, you can try access the class A, but you find another class B inside the company, you can find another range of this, the same network, for example, 172 doc 18, but you can find another range in 172 and 25, for example. So how it's possible to access this network, but how it's possible, because you don't have access in this level, right? Because you are in the class C and you are outside of the company. So the pivoting techniques, you can use this in this environment. So you can imagine how you can exploit it in the Docker environment, because in the Docker environment, you have the same engine, you know, and you have a Docker engine, you have many different Dockers or many different containers, you know, you have many networks. So it's very interesting, very important technique that could be used in the penetration test, right? So here, I will start to execute this technique. It's not a complicated technique, but you have many ways to execute it. So here I access the connect key, because when I had the root access, I found this access. So after that, I exploit this environment. So now here, as you can see, I found the class P172 doc 20. Yes. So here I found this information in this network, right? Okay. So I will look in this notes information. So here I have a very interesting information. Vulnerabilities Gogs was detected. I shut down the registration function on server. Please ensure that no one gets access to the test account. Look at it. Look at that. Please ensure that no one gets access to the test account. So here I can suppose maybe we can try find this test account, because here in this note, you know, if you're working with the server, many times you create a note doc text file, or you know, you write something in your server, you can write some notes, right? Because I need to do this task before, or many times you send in your personal email, private email, or before the next Wednesday, I need to update this application because this application was vulnerable, blah, 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 and you put in this note. So here in this case, probably the guy this guy, do you remember connect? When the node requests the access from this guy, man, I need to access your remote server, and this guy answered with the password. So this guy wrote something in this note, right? And here we have another application, Gogs. It's a similar GitHub and another this kind of platform, right? So here I have a test account. It's an interesting point. So, okay, let's continue to look in this machine and what is this, you know, this user has. So here an information. I've set up a file server into the server network. Eto, if you need to transfer file to the server, can use my PC. DM me for the access. Okay, so here, maybe I have an interesting information, because another, you know, like a breach, not a breach, but, you know, like a fail, because this amazing guy, right, or wrote another information from this another guy, Eto, right? He right here. Let me check here. Use my PC. I can suppose we have a test account, and here I have a PC. So maybe this guy has another account, right? And maybe a PC account. So let's continue to read all the information that we have here in this environment, right? So I will try to look in the SSH file, and here I look in the some keys, and here, here. Oh, look at it. Here I have a connect pub, right? And here you can see that like a domain, you know. You can see here the access, the connect PC, but here you can look, it's another key, right? So two different key. Here it's connect Azure, and here you can find connect PC. So if you can think about this penetration testing, here probably this is the account test that this guy mentioned before, right? Because it's when you talk to Eto, he mentioned what? He mentioned my PC. So he's a connect PC, probably the private PC from this guy. Probably this is a test account for the environment, right? So here we can find many information of the environment, right? So do you remember that I need to get the movement or lateral movement inside the company, right? So here I will, in this another demo, I will try to find another information from the same guy, because as you can see here in the Connect, this guy has a many access or many privilege. So here this amazing guy again execute a fail process because he save all this information inside the server. As you can see here, I access the Connect PC, the private account. This is the, what is this? This is the test account. And here, it's the very interesting point. Because here we find, or I found actually, the same network 172.20, but I found another, network information. Here I found 172.18. It's another network. So here it's like I have a one machine, right? And this machine talk to another network, as you can see here. So it's here. It's a very interesting point, because if you can think about, I am an attacker, right? I'm a penetration tester. I am trying to exploit this information. So here I can find two different networks. So how it's possible, because this is the technique I can be used here. I could use to pivoting, to do a jumping from this network, because I don't have access to this network. I just have this access at this network in the class B 172.20, right? I don't have this access in this environment, right? So if I can access this environment, let me pass for the next page, right? So now here I will execute the pivoting technique in this environment, because I have access to, do you remember in the beginning? I try access in the class A, right? The range 10. After that, I get the access in the class B, 172.20. And now I have another access in the same class B, but the 172.18 range, right? So now I can, using the pivoting technique, I will using in the SST4 port, I will using my private key, do you remember that I created, right? So here I will use, and you can check here this information, right? I can use the SSH hacker root access the class A, right? Using the port 22, it's the standard port of the SSH. And I open in my server, in my attacker server, this port 1717 from this machine that I was try hacking, or the first access that I was doing, right? So here I get the access. So let's take a look at this, because I put in the IP 172.20.0.150 in a port 2020, right? And I open in my machine this port 77, and I got the access, right? Root access. And I try to look in the inside the IP, I look in the another IP 17.20.0.150, 10, not 150. So probably I'm in the Docker environment, right? Because I found the Docker env, right? So here, this is my machine because I am in the VPN, of course. So I am in two different networks. But now I open in my environment, I open the port 1717, right? So here I will use the connect pub. This is the, the test account. Do you remember? I using the test account here. I using this port, 77th port, and I will open another port here to try access this another environment. As you can see here, 172.18. So here you can look different networks, right? So after that, I will put here. If you can see here, take a look here. I will try to put in the password. I received the error. And here, I will pause. You can look in the many others works mine. Here, you can look in the password. I love Toka. Do you remember when I put this information, when I received this information in the chat, in the talk of these guys in the chat? Do you remember? Yeah, so here I have access to the Connect PC. And here you can see I am in another network. Now I have access in this environment. Take a look. And look, it's very, very interesting because now I got the access. And if I using the ifconfig command, I can receive the answer 172.20 and 150. Maybe it's this machine, right? Perfect. But when you access inside the machine here, you find 172.20.010 because this is the this information. It's the this is the Docker, and here it's the container inside the machine, and here we have another container in this machine, right? So you have a different container inside this environment, right? So here I access 172.0.200. So now I get the access in this environment. If you can see here, two different network, it's the same case, right? Just to compare this information, right? I'm looking of the, the process, and the ports are open. You can see here, you can take a look here. So let me return here. You can look in this, any different ports and service open and works here. It's very interesting, right? So, and if you can see here, all ports are listening or listen, right? So here you can find this, all this information, right? So after that, what I can do here, after I open this way or this path, or I got this jump inside this network, I can try to access this environment. Let me pass here. Here it's very important. Let me check here. Yes. So here. So after that, I put the local host in the port 30,000, because this is the port that I was open in my machine. And here you can see the Gogs application. So here, let me return here. You can compare all this information, because here I using this port that I was opened before, right? So this here is the technique, the pivoting technique, because I open this port in my machine, and here I use this port that was opened to access this another network, to jump into another network, right? Using, of course, this test account, because this test account has a privilege to access this network, right? And in the end, as you can see here, I access the Gogs environment, right? But if you can see here how it's possible, because I put here the local host, but I didn't install nothing in my environment, right? I didn't install nothing. but I am accessed here by localhost, right? But I'm using this port, and this port 3000. This port I opened, right? So this is you can see here the flow. That's a very interesting point. I just can access here because I'm using the technique pivoting, right? So that's, I think, so here it's the same. Okay, this is the question, and I finish my presentation, and thank you from the organization and the team. And I open to some question if the guys have or something like that. So thank you again.